Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named AvertedVision titled Lines in the Mirror. And if we switch over to here, I have reviewed a fair bit of AvertedVision's music at this point. More recently, it is going to be good to hear more, and we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Just letting you know as well at the end that we're going to be scoring this track based on a range of various musical criteria out of 10, but for now, let's go. Let's do it. Lines in the Mirror.
I see my face lines grow clearer. The years gone by, they're coming nearer.
Interesting vibrato there.
Every line a story told, memories of times I hold. Wrinkles mark the passing days, map of life in different ways, laughter lines and tears that fell, each a tale I know so well.
A little bit of vocal fry there. Nice.
Lines in the mirror, they don't lie. Time keeps moving, we can't deny. But every mark is a badge of honor, showing life we've lived no longer.
Interesting trail off there. Just an interesting sort of like transitional chord there. Wasn't expecting that to go into the next one, but it's a cool technique.
Seasons change, and so do we. Growing older, wild and free. Embrace the lines with love and grace. Aging brings a peaceful space. Every line is part of me. Moment shaped by history. In the mirror, I see truth, reflection of my fate and youth. Lines in the mirror, they don't lie. Time keeps moving, we can't deny. But every mark is a badge of honor, showing life we've lived no longer.
Nice little grace note there for the slide. But yeah, that was Lines in the Mirror, and we're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. And so welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named AvertedVision, titled Lines in the Mirror. Now, first of all, before we go any further, I've given this song an overall score of 7.6 out of 10, which I feel is a strong score. There are some highlights for me personally, such as the main theme, like the chord progressions in this are really cool. But first of all, what do we think this track is about? I think this song is discussing the fact that we are all getting older and the reality of coming to terms with that and accepting that and trying to sort of like find a way of looking at the wrinkles and all the scars and everything we get as a badge of honor, so to speak, to sort of like show, hey, we're getting older, but this is just indicative of the journey we've had. There will definitely be an audience for it. I completely see that 100%. There'll be people that go, oh, listen to this and go, yeah, I vibe with this. And I think it's ultimately a really positive way of approaching it, because I feel like otherwise just thinking about the more dire, dark, grim consequences of aging is not fun. So we may as well, whilst we're here on this earth and spending time together, make the most of it, right? I think that one of the things that works really well about this track, it's the chord progressions. I really appreciated what was going on with some of those unconventional or more sort of rare transitions between parts. We weren't just having the same kind of like 4 bass notes repeated. We would mix things up, and there would be some interesting ideas put forward with like the diminished going into another one, or there'd be like a tension chord, and then boom, we resolve to the next one. But it wouldn't be like a thing that's repeated within the section itself. It'd be like a different tail on the second half there going into the new part. So I feel that was very clever. I also think another thing that was done quite well with the guitar solos that we had there, I feel like as more of a balladesque kind of thing, you could have had a crazy sort of like shred solo or something like that, but I don't think it would have necessarily been the mood or been the vibe. You run the risk when you have a guitar solo be too active that it can kind of overshadow the vocalist and what they're trying to accomplish. And it's also, unless that guitar solo is spot on, is sublime, you're running the risk of just it sounding a bit kind of like superfluous. So ultimately, I feel the more melodic kind of like oriented approach with some of the repeated like sequences, but not identical for obvious reasons. There were adjustments between the two solo sections. I think that was just a great way of sort of like splitting up the piece and kind of making the most of their real estate within a 3-minute 46 piece. I also think I appreciated what was going on as a final note with the drums. So it wasn't that they were played in a certain way, it was the variety of different chops and fills that we had, some sort of flam ideas that were put in, alongside the main sort of 8th note orients of the beats. We had some transitional parts and we explored the drum kit a bit, but it was just having a sense of finesse with the fundamentals that allowed the vocalists to do whatever they needed to do as alongside the lead guitar. And I just think it was a really sort of smart decision to have that adjustment there of and complexities, so to speak, there. I think the track maybe would have been too loaded if it had too much going on with too many. And I understand that's a given, but it really isn't. You can't take for granted that people will understand that less can sometimes mean more. But ultimately, I feel like the highlights for me of this track were the guitar solo parts. I think also the different chord progressions and harmonies and main sort of like ideas of the song. There were some interesting chord progressions and like patterns and changes there. And it was also the drums. Those are the 3 sort of like main points that I really appreciate about this track. There's more to sort of talk about, but I usually focus on like 3 things within each of these sort of like quote unquote reaction videos. But ultimately, that's my review, my thoughts on this track from an act named AvertedVision titled Lines in the Mirror, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do check them out via both their YouTube and or their Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe. Please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.